market structures. We're up to chapter 4. Let's get started. So what do we already know? So far we know that demand and supply determines prices and quantities allocated in the market. If prices rise as a result of excess demand, suppliers will allocate more resources to produce the popular product. If prices rise as a result of negative supply conditions, suppliers will allocate more resources to alternative products that bring a higher return. You'll soon understand that the structure of a market will determine how large a price change will occur. Things to consider when looking into markets: the number of buyers, how unique the product compares to its competitors, the ease of entrance and exit of the market, and the amount of information buyers and sellers have about the product. Market power relates to the market structure. It looks into the ability of a business or group of businesses to control or manipulate prices or quantities in the market. Businesses that can control the market face little competition. Those in power tend to charge higher prices to maximize their profit. Those without power tend to charge lower prices in order to increase their market share and improve their profits overall. So these are the 4 market structures we got here. Starting from this side here, we got perfect competition, we got monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and monopoly. These two here are one extreme to another. So monopoly is, let's just say, on the far right, while perfect competition is on the far left. So what is perfect competition? It's a situation where you have a large number of buyers and sellers. The products are homogeneous, meaning they're exactly the same no matter where you buy it from. So if I decide to buy for apples from Bacchus Marsh, they should be the same taste compared to the apples found in Sunbury. No barriers to entry. It allows businesses to pop up and attain profit opportunities. So when we talk about barriers, it means it's very easy for you to get in there, to sell a homogeneous product. And if you're not interested anymore, you can just as easily leave once profit opportunities disappear. Buyers and sellers possess perfect information about the product offered for sale in the markets. So in this situation, as a buyer, if you want to buy apples, you know how much apples are worth all over Australia. And if a seller tries to sell it 5 or 10 cents more expensive, you can just go, nah, not interested, and you could go to the next competitor in order to get your products. Same thing with sellers. They know their competition, they know how much they're selling it for, they know everything about the product, and therefore no one is surprised whenever a sale or a purchase occurs. So in this case, businesses are price takers, meaning they're willing to accept whatever the market offers them for their products. Prices are set low because of high competition, which creates very low profit margins that barely justify staying or leaving the market. This situation is known as normal profits. So guys, in perfect competition, when you have a lot of competition, there's only one real way you can compete on a product if you're selling the same thing, and that is price. So if price is the only factor determining whether someone buys your product or not, you're going to have to find a way to discount your product in order to get people to come to you. So that's why profit margins tend to be low in perfect competition, because people are just trying to outcompete other businesses in order to make any money at all. So abnormal profits occur when prices rise due to excessive demand. Abnormal and super profits are only short-term impacts on the market. This is because the ease of entry and exit to the markets will see more businesses pop up to take a share of the abnormal profits. In the long run, you will see prices return to normal due to excessive suppliers driving prices down, which ultimately destroys all motives for people who entered the market originally to make those abnormal profits. So they'll leave and things will return to normal. So here are some examples of perfect competition. Gas, it doesn't matter who you get it from, it's all the exact same crap. Potatoes, same deal. Wheat, same deal. Petrol at the Bowser, same deal. Fruits and vegetables in the market, same deal. Rice, same deal. Alright, we don't care much about where it comes from. It's just purely the price that determines whether or not we buy these sort of products. Well, that's the theory anyway, perfect competition. So please feel free to watch this video on your own time to see another take on perfect competition. So monopolistic competition. Similar to perfect competition, the key difference is that the product is differentiated. meaning that there are unique characteristics to that product that make you want to buy that rather than someone else's product. So there's many buyers and sellers in this situation. Ease of entry and exit to the market. Branding, marketing, advertising play a huge part in consumer preferences. So we got some examples over here. As you can see, taxis, clothing, toilet paper, hotels, restaurants, hairdressing. We got all the delivery services that are available in Australia. Fast food industry, they're all very monopolistic in competition. There's slight variations in their products, but overall there's plenty to choose from, plenty of options, and buyers go where they want, depending on how advertising works against them, brand loyalty, all that sort of stuff. Same thing happens with cars. Alright, plenty to choose from, all slightly different from the other. They really try to distinguish the fact that you should buy their product based on creating a need, or creating some loyalty, or very good advertising. Alright, so an oligopoly. A few sellers who dominate the market and collectively exercise power by restricting supply or raising prices. In these sort of markets, we have very few buyers. Barriers to entry and exit are high because of high setup costs for new producers. Information between buyers and sellers are imperfect, meaning that sellers have more information about the product than usually buyers do. When only two sellers exist, we call them a duopoly. They can set up artificial barriers to entry such as multi-branding, exclusive dealings, and cartel conduct. This is all covered in Chapter 2 of our textbook. If you don't remember it, I suggest you go back and review those terms. So some examples of multi-branding, oligopolies. We've got Coles, Aldi, Woolies, Costco, IGA, Foodworks. That shows you there that supermarkets are an oligopoly because there's very few to choose from, and you're pretty much restricted to those main 6 stores when it comes to buying all your daily produce. Same thing with banks. There tends to be only 4 big banks that most people tend to go to for their banking needs. And domestic air carriers. We tend to only have a handful of players, mainly Qantas, Virgin. Well, Virgin's kind of dead at the moment. Jetstar. Some people talk about Tiger. I don't really know much about Regional Express, Air North, Skytrans, or Sharp Airlines, but you could see there's very few choices. And with very few choices, they can pretty much dictate what sort of prices they're going to charge us to get across from one place to another, or purchase products. So monopoly, there's one supplier in the market. They are price makers. They have complete control of the prices and the quantities in the market. Monopolies exist in markets where the establishment costs for a business are extremely high, requiring large-scale production to justify investment. So this is a barrier to entry. Without the awesome government intervention that we have in Australia, through the ACCC, petroleum and mining would have been a monopoly. Natural monopoly exists when the market structure makes economic sense. For example, Australia Post has a monopoly for standard letters in Australia. They're classified as a natural monopoly. So 4 reasons why monopolies are bad for an economy. They can set any price they choose, which is horrible. They can supply inferior products, so the product could possibly be better, but because they have no competition, they have no urgency or need in order to improve their product. They lose any incentive to innovate. That's because of lack of competition. And they can create inflation, so by driving prices up and no competition, they're causing inflation to occur. So guys, that's everything you need to know about the market structures. One thing we need to cover is just monopoly power versus monopsony power. So monopoly power is what we've already covered. It's where a business can manipulate prices in order to maximize their profits in the market due to the lack of competition or choices. While monopsony power is where businesses can exercise power if they're the only buyers of that product. So an example would be Coles and Woolies, who are like the 2 biggest players in the supermarket market. They can pretty much dictate to farmers how much they're willing to buy their inventory for. And farmers will most likely comply with it, because if Coles and Woolies, their 2 biggest customers, do not buy from them, they'll be stockpiled with all this stuff and they won't know how to get rid of it. Alright, so that's everything you need to know. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me on Teams like we always do.